I've been seeing stuff where KITT, my car, has been going out since 2008.
Exact same ratings as Knight Rider, because I don't think it was cool.
Imagine spending 4 years of your life having deep conversations with a car dashboard, not rehearsing with another actor, not building chemistry on set, just you, alone in a Trans Am, talking to a script supervisor, reading lines off a page while cameras rolled. Then imagine discovering 6 months later that the voice you'd been responding to all that time belonged to a man you'd never actually met. That was David Hasselhoff's reality on Knight Rider.
Pit stop. Quit kidding around, you're not that human.
I was using the term in its literal sense, Michael.
While millions watched him and KITT save the world week after week, nobody knew the surreal truth behind the cameras. The stunt doubles whose wigs flew off mid-kick, the cars that crumpled on landing, the voice actor who knocked out episodes in 45 minutes while Hasselhoff sweated in the desert for days.
I mean, I really admire the guys who are the cops and the detectives. I don't know how they do it.
At 71, the Hoff is finally opening up about the bizarre, lonely, and sometimes hilarious reality of becoming famous by talking to a machine, and what that strange isolation cost him in the end. 1. From soap star to action hero. Before David Hasselhoff became the guy with the talking car, he spent 7 years as Dr. Snapper Foster on The Young and the Restless, navigating romantic drama in hospitals and living rooms. He wasn't an action hero. He was a soap actor with great hair. Then NBC came calling with the weirdest pitch in television history. Network president Brandon Tartikoff had lost faith in young male talent and wanted a show where a supercar did most of the talking and the leading man only spoke 6 words.
Hey, voila! Thank you very much.
Producer Glenn Larson pitched it as The Lone Ranger with a Car, inspired by an episode from his own show featuring an automated vehicle. They needed someone who could sell sincerity while talking to a dashboard. Hasselhoff walked in, and somehow, they saw it.
But I created Michael Knight.
Michael Knight was born, a detective shot in the face, given a new identity, and partnered with KITT, an AI Pontiac Trans Am designed after HAL 9000, but programmed to protect human life instead of ending it. 2. The bizarre filming reality. Talking to nothing. Here's where it gets weird. Every single scene Hasselhoff filmed with KITT, he was talking to nobody.
Prerogatives quite satisfactorily. I am the voice of Knight Industry 2000's microprocessor.
A script supervisor or assistant director stood off camera reading KITT's lines in a monotone voice. When the car was moving, they piped the lines through the stereo speakers. Hasselhoff delivered his performance to thin air, making eye contact with a styrofoam dashboard, reacting to responses that didn't exist yet. Meanwhile, William Daniels, the actual voice of KITT, was nowhere near the set. He was simultaneously starring in Saint Elsewhere and would come in weeks later to a recording booth. NBC worked around his schedule because both shows were on their network.
We look at each other and say, I don't know how this is working as well as it does, but it works, doesn't it? And I said, yeah, I guess it does.
Daniels would watch Hasselhoff's performance on a screen and record his responses in about 45 minutes per episode. That's right, 45 minutes. While Hasselhoff spent days in the desert, sweating through scenes, Daniels was in air-conditioned comfort, knocking out his part faster than a lunch break. 3. The Christmas party revelation. 6 months into filming the first season, the cast and crew threw a Christmas party. Hasselhoff was standing at his table when a guy walked over and introduced himself. Hi, I'm William Daniels. I play KITT. Hasselhoff stared at him. This was the voice he'd been responding to for half a year, and he'd never seen the man's face. Oh, I'm David Hasselhoff and I play Michael, he replied, probably feeling ridiculous. Then Daniels asked how long it took Hasselhoff to film his scenes. You son of a gun, Hasselhoff said. How long does it take you to do it? Daniels smiled. About 50 minutes. Hasselhoff couldn't believe it. I'm out there on the road, in the desert, sweating. Daniels shrugged. I'm in a recording studio. They looked at each other and realized something incredible. Despite never working together, despite recording their performances weeks apart in completely different locations, they'd somehow created one of TV's most beloved partnerships. We have a hit, don't we? Daniels said. and they absolutely did. 4. The car tricks and technical chaos KITT wasn't one car. There were multiple Pontiac Trans Ams modified for different purposes, each costing about $18,000. For jumps, they used hollow fiberglass versions that crumbled on impact because they couldn't risk destroying real cars every episode. When KITT appeared to drive itself, stuntman Jack Gill sat behind the driver's seat with a two-way mirror, hiding him from the cameras, extending his arms and legs through the seat out of sight.
And he was really, he really took great pride in showing me how to drive. And so we went out to the Saugus Speedway.
For scenes where Hasselhoff appeared to be driving, the car was usually being towed. When KITT needed to come to rescue Michael, Gill drove a version with a passenger-side steering wheel hidden from cameras, and Hasselhoff would jump in and take over a visible second steering wheel on his side. The dashboard was styrofoam customized by a toy maker. They reused the same stock footage constantly, sped up frames to make 20 miles per hour look like 400, and slapped blue filters on everything to fake nighttime. It was smoke, mirrors, and a whole lot of movie magic that somehow felt real. 5. The hilarious fight scenes. Then there were the fight scenes, and this is where things got truly ridiculous.
I told you the lady isn't on the menu.
Knight Rider apparently didn't have trained fight coordinators. The director would just tell Hasselhoff or his stunt doubles to go out there and improvise something that could pass for martial arts. The result was what fans lovingly called Hasselhoff Fu, a completely made-up fighting style where Michael Knight could take down any bad guy with one well-placed karate kick to the head. The unintentional comedy was legendary. In one episode, a stunt double's Michael Knight afro wig flew off mid-roundhouse kick and nobody caught it until it aired. In other scenes, you could spot stunt doubles wearing mustaches in shots where Hasselhoff's clean-shaven face should be. The continuity errors were everywhere. The physics made no sense, and the fighting looked like kids playing in a backyard. But that's exactly what made Knight Rider so beloved. It was pure, unfiltered, absurd fun, and nobody was pretending otherwise. 6. William Daniels, the invisible genius. William Daniels never wanted to be KITT. When the producer first called, he was just doing a favor, recording some copy for a pitch meeting in New York. He wasn't getting paid. When he saw the script, his first reaction was, "This is the voice of a car?" The producer asked him to make it sound robotic. Daniels refused. "No," he said flatly. Instead, he saw a chance to make KITT amusing and bright.
May I suggest you try my new Super Pursuit mode?
Why not? If we ever needed an edge.
To give the car human expression. 3 weeks later, the producer called back. "It's sold. Would you do KITT?" Daniels hesitated because of his St. Elsewhere schedule. But NBC worked it out. Here's the thing that blew everyone's mind. Daniels insisted on not being credited in the opening or closing credits. He wanted audiences to believe the car had a mind of its own, to preserve the mystery. The plan backfired spectacularly. People recognized his voice everywhere he went. They'd stop him on the street asking where he sat in the car during filming. He had to keep explaining. Nowhere. He was never there. 7. The show's massive cultural impact. Knight Rider ran for 4 seasons and 90 episodes from 1982 to 1986. Critics hated it, calling it childish and ridiculous, but audiences didn't care. The ratings were massive. The message hit hard. One man can make a difference. It was about saving lives, not taking them. KITT was forbidden to kill even the bad guys. Kids started raiding their parents' toolboxes instead of playing with toy guns. The Pontiac Trans Am became the coolest car on the planet. The show exploded internationally, especially in Europe, where Hasselhoff became a legitimate superstar. Decades later, grown adults still approach him with tears in their eyes, telling him Knight Rider got them through childhood trauma, through rough times when they needed to believe one person could change things. Hasselhoff calls it bigger than Baywatch ever was, and he's right. Knight Rider wasn't just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon that taught a generation that brains, technology, and compassion could beat violence every single time. That legacy is untouchable. 8. The fall that came after the fame. But success came with shadows Hasselhoff couldn't outrun. His marriage to actress Catherine Hickland collapsed in 1989 after 5 years, crushed under the weight of his exploding fame. The relationship was no longer just us, she explained. There were managers, press agents, secretaries. The intimacy died beneath the machinery of celebrity. Then came Baywatch, more fame, more pressure, and eventually, the drinking. By 2002, Hasselhoff checked into the Betty Ford Center, only to leave after 2 days and get dangerously drunk at a hotel. In 2007, his teenage daughter Taylor Ann filmed him shirtless on the floor, struggling to eat a hamburger while heavily intoxicated. She wanted to show him what he looked like when he couldn't remember. The video went viral. The world mocked him.
And the doctor is coming over here in the morning to check your alcohol level. And if you have any alcohol in your system, you're going to be fired from the show.
Late-night hosts made him a punchline, but Hasselhoff calls it a wake-up call, the moment everything comes to a head. Multiple hospitalizations for alcohol poisoning followed. His daughters suffered, bullied at school because of their father's public humiliation. The man who'd spent years talking to machines had lost connection to the people who mattered most. 9. The reboot he wasn't wanted for. In 2008, NBC decided to reboot Knight Rider. They cast Justin Bruning as Mike Tresseur, Michael Knight's estranged son. When they approached Hasselhoff about returning, the answer crushed him. "We love the project, but we don't think we want you starring in it." He got a cameo, walking on at the end of the TV movie to introduce himself to his on-screen son. That was it. The show that made him a star didn't want him back. The reboot lasted 1 season and disappeared. But Hasselhoff hasn't let go of the dream. He's been pitching a darker, grittier Knight Rider revival for years. "It will be kind of like Logan," he said. Michael Knight comes back and he's pissed. He claims he's close to making it happen, maybe on Netflix. At 71, he's still fighting to reclaim the role that defined him, still trying to prove that one man, even decades later, can make a difference. The car's still in his garage, the dream's still alive. He's just waiting for someone to say yes. 10. Legacy at 71. David Hasselhoff's greatest acting partnership was with a car he rarely drove, voiced by a man he never worked with. For 4 years, he talked to dashboards, script supervisors, and thin air, creating something millions loved. The cost was real. A marriage destroyed by fame. Years of isolation that fed patterns leading to addiction. Public humiliation that scarred his daughters. But what Knight Rider gave him was equally real. A Guinness World Record as the most watched man on television. A message that helped kids survive trauma. Royalties that still pay him over $1 million a year. And a legacy that transcends the silly fights, the crumbling stunt cars, the absurd premise. He's sober now, married to Haley Roberts since 2018, living healthier. When asked what show he'd spend the rest of his life in, he doesn't hesitate. Knight Rider. Because despite everything it cost him, despite the loneliness of talking to machines, he knows the truth. One man really can make a difference, even if that man spent 4 years talking to himself in the desert. If you love discovering the bizarre truth behind Knight Rider, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss another Hollywood story that sounds too weird to be true. Drop a comment with your favorite KITT moment, whether it's turbo boost, the scanner light, or just the incredible banter. We read every single one. Want to know what other 80s icons went through behind the scenes? Click the video on screen next, where we're diving into another legend who paid a price nobody saw coming. See you there.